All right, everyone, you are in for a real treat this evening because I have some very special guests. And I'm not just talking about my sous chef, Chad. I'm talking to some very incredible people representing a larger group of people. Folks, I want to introduce you to the Roddenberries. And tonight, this evening, I want to introduce you to Beth Kellner and Bill Teon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Very
meet
nice to
you.
meet you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
having
much
us.
for having us. Billy and I do that a lot. That's why we're the co-captains, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. As we start, everyone's going to be listening. They're going to be checking it out. And this is what I want to share. Your description that I've pulled, the Roddenberries' versatility spans the realms of Star Trek, Star Wars, sci-fi, fantasy, gaming, Doctor Who, and superhero fiction in an effort to unite and entertain multiple generations of fans throughout the nerdosphere.
We're sticking to that.
I love it. From artful creations of movie and TV scores to pop rock classics, parodies, this fun, energetic troupe boldly goes where no star band has gone before in a unique spectacle of pop culture, rock and roll theater, comedy, and pure sci-fi awesomeness. What a perfect explanation. So now we know what, and now tonight we have the who. Where did this all start? Like, walk me back to like who was sitting in the hotel room and wrote on the napkin, cocktail napkin, let's do. How did this work?
Beth, would you like to take that one?
I was just going to ask if you want
I
to
got
take
it. I
can do it if you don't want it, man.
No. It's like, so the why I asked Beth, it was not that, because like I do that. I'll do it justice as well. But you see how well that write-up of the Roddenberries sounded, right?
Yeah.
That is the mind of Beth Kellner, and she is so amazing. And the lyrics in our songs, the mind of Beth Kellner. So her artful recreation of our story would probably do it justice.
Yeah, let's hear it, Beth. Where were you?
Well, you know what? Honestly, this was 10 plus years ago, and I was actually at the beach with my family, and I got a call, and it was Billy, and he was freaking out because this thing called the late night cabaret was happening, and a couple of what became our group, they're like, you know what? We're just going to jam out right now. What do we do? Hey, do you guys know the fight song from Star Trek? And they're like, duh. So they started playing the fight song, and they were like, wait a minute, what's happening here? And he called me and he was like, you don't even know what you missed tonight. And I'm like, yeah, you're telling me I do know what I missed, because in 2002, after I had first moved to Philly, the first performance that I did at the Late Night Cabaret was a group that I got together, which was 4 other of my female friends, and we all played music from Star Trek. We played the theme song, we played some of the Space Hippies music, and I called the group Sister Spock, which kind of like migrated into my persona in the group. And we just, when it came around, and then this was, years before I met all these cats that are in the band with me, and Billy, who is, now like my other half when it comes to the band. But, we just kind of sat down. We're like, all right, what are we doing? We're going to be in a Star Trek band. Holy crap. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Well, we got the theme song on deck. We know that we have the fight song on deck. What else can we do? So we really started putting our brains together. And this is coming from, Billy, who basically grew up playing all the Star Trek music on the keyboard. He's an amazing keyboard player and pianist. He's very gifted. Shut up, Billy. I know you're going to tell me to stop. But he, and years before I had met Billy, my partner Scott was saying, you have to meet my friend Bill, because he just jams out on the Star Trek music on the keys every once in a while. Just come out. I'm like, why do I not know this person? And, growing up, I was basically breastfed on Star Trek, and my favorite song was the theme. And I've been singing that as long as I can remember. Like it's a thing for my brother and I whenever we're together and we see like a parking garage or a stairwell in a hotel or something, I'll be like, Mike, I'm going to give it to you now. And I just sang the theme from Star Trek and we both have a laugh. It's just a thing that we do. So it's kind of seemed inevitable. And we have these like-minded friends that really grew up on the ideals and the themes of Star Trek. And, just really the original series is what pulled me in and what pulled most of us in, because just the color and the camp and, the relationships that were built, and the fact that, we can live together and we can be accepting, and all these amazing people from all over can be on the bridge and getting along. And we were just hooked. And, plus the musicality of the show. I mean, you have to remember back at that time in the late 60s, a lot of these shows were doing, they had full orchestras doing the music. And I don't think there's as enough of that going on anymore, not the way that it was. And, so much of, like Alexander Courage, like all of those composers back then, it kind of struck a chord with us. And we're like, all right, we need to start doing Star Trek music. So it started out getting together and just thinking of what kind of music we could do and what kind of songs we could do. And then it was like, okay, well, let's have a show. And we pulled together a show, and we all wore weird Star Trek costumes, whatever we threw together. And then, had some live dance fighting. We had, a couple of women doing capoeira. We all had crappy Spock ears because everyone wanted to be Spock.
Of course.
But it was great. And of course, the fun part was to sit down and we're like, okay, what are we going to name the band? And we all just sat outside on Billy's front porch. And when I tell you, we literally went through every single episode name from the original series to be our band name. We really actually did. We're like, The Enemy Within. No.
Oh, that's a good band name.
Yeah, Mirror, or all these.
Like all of it. Amok Time. No, we can't do that. All right.
My gosh.
But it started as like, let's be a Star Trek band. We're all friends. We love the music. We're passionate about the show. And then it just kind of, it developed organically into what we became, what we are now, which is basically it's basically like a variety show. It's a lot of rock and roll. It's a lot of pop and classics, but we change stuff up. We do a lot of parodies. We do a lot of comedy. So for existence, Princess Kiss is Riker's Kiss, and I do a drag Riker and come out and sing it, and I have Rikettes with me that dance with me. And actually, this is something, the first thing I thought when you asked the question earlier about, is there anything that like blew somebody or shocked somebody? The first time I came out to do that number, after I'd written rewrote the lyrics and stuff, I remember coming out as drag Riker, and no one had seen what my outfit was going to be, so nobody knew in the band. And I got on stage, and the bass player, Ned, was like, who the hell is that person?
Who is that? Who is that?
Who's this?
He thought it was someone from the audience bombing the stage.
Yeah.
Wow. And then once he realized, he just started laughing, and I'm like, that's right, buddy.
That's good.
This is my beard.
When you can entertain each other in the band, you're entertaining the audience as well.
Oh, it's nonstop in our rehearsals.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's part of the joy of doing it. We look forward to the rehearsals. They're fun, and the time we're creating. But going back to the journey of the 10 years, it was what Beth said, and starting out at the Fringe Festival in Philly. That was the late night cabaret was part of the Fringe Philly Fringe, and that's where the real crazy, weird, new, different avant-garde art is happening. It's the first 2 weeks of every September, and this was our first show after the formation of the band was our first show was a Fringe Festival. It was a year later after that phone call, and it was the last show at the Fringe Festival on a Sunday night at 1 a.m. That was like our first show. It was crazy, and it was a very surreal moment. Like we're all dressed up as Star Trek characters, we got the ears, we got the makeup, we got the eyebrows, everything you could think of. And we're getting ready to hit the stage, and this is the first time, and what a surreal moment. And who would have thought that, 10 years later, we're getting ready to play our third Vegas gig for a week at Star Trek Las Vegas. So it's a crazy thing, to think that we started it like we don't know what we're doing, but
You made it come true. You made it real, and it's still here.
yeah,
Well, that's the thing about Star Trek too, is you guys have Star Trek gives you a lot of material to work with, and they continue pumping it out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much. It just keeps growing.
Yeah, but I would argue the talent is that these talented musicians can take something that maybe I haven't seen every single Star Trek episode. I know, but I've heard some of your great songs, and immediately I'm like, okay, let me just name some of my favorites. I want to get right into it.
okay. Yes.
Beastie Boys, Sabotage.
Mhm.
Come on. Like when you guys cover that, of course, I recognize that and I can relate and I'm having a blast. And you guys are full costume on stage. I even showed Chad, I'm like, listen to the part where the music pauses and then it gets back in from the guitar. It is
It's spot on. It's
It's
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
okay. And then
Thank
here's
you.
another one. Here's another one that blew me away. Because I'm going to tell you what surprises me. And then I want to hear what surprises you guys too. Because you've done so much on stage. You're being so humble. You're not just comedy and parody. I mean, you are a whole performance show that is like,
there's a lot of professional musicians in the band, and again, we couldn't pay these people what they get paid normally, like to do a wedding or to do a concert, whatever, what they're normally getting paid. In the Roddenberries, you almost have to pay to be in the band. It's just like, except for the Vegas thing, but it's like we're not making a lot of money, but these guys are like total amazing music.
yeah. So here I am. Okay, I grew up in Chicago. My cult classic in my youth, yes, I mean Star Trek was present, but for me, the Blues Brothers. And I'm watching your reels, and out comes "Give Me Some Lovin'" from a Klingon, and I'm dying. Who came up with that?
Not only Give Me Some, was that the one with J.G. Hertzler playing? Was that, no, that was Keep Me Hanging On, but Give Me Some Lovin'.
Are you talking about Showdown 2020?
I
Yes.
must.
Where I'm dressed
what-
as a Klingon singing
Yes.
Give Me Some Lovin'?
Yes.
Okay,
was
and
it.
then it pans back to Martok playing keys.
From Deep Space Nine. That's General Martok, J.G. Hertzler from Deep Space Nine playing with us.
I mean, so there it is. It's like, that's my childhood with Star Trek, with my love of space, with your incredible music. And when do the lyrics come to you like, oh, if we're going to do Give Me Some Lovin', it's got to be Klingon? Like, how do you connect? How do you find the words to match these parodies?
Well, for that particular, I'm sorry, Billy.
Well, I just wanted to say, in the context of that song is in Showdown 2020, which was our 90-minute feature musical comedy film that we did during the lockdown. And so we couldn't perform live anywhere. But we wrote it, like, we started the Showdown 2020 with the Klingon connection, right? Or instead of the rainbow connection, it was
The Klingon election.
the Klingon election, right? Because the election was coming up, and it was a mock election between two Klingons, and so really the story was: are we going to elect Gowron? Are we going to elect Martok as Chancellor for life? And we were playing on the election craziness that was happening,
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
may I just add? Can I just
Yeah.
add in that when the lockdown happened, we were planning to do this show live at World Cafe Live in Philadelphia. So we were planning to have J.G. Hertzler come in, Robert O'Reilly come in, and we had doing the makeup. Come on, Billy. John Paladin coming in doing their makeup and their prosthetics. He does their prosthetics and makeup at the conventions. And then the lockdown hit, and it's like, every 3 weeks, it's like, all right, what are we doing? Nope, not yet. What are we doing? No, not yet. And it finally came to the time where, like, we've got to do something. So obviously the live show wasn't going to work. So what we ended up doing was the craziest thing we've ever done as a band. I still am like, what? How did we even pull that off?
Yeah.
A group of us went up north to upstate New York to shoot JG's parts. We were all in mass. We all had COVID tests. We did it all outdoors. We brought a makeup person. We had John Paladin ship us prosthetics for both JG and for Robert O'Reilly. We hired a team in LA of friends that we have that are video tech, and they went to Robert O'Reilly's house and filmed him. And then we had a studio, our chief engineer, Kevin Smiles O'Hiron. He was at the time, had a huge like industrial performance video studio where it was just like, we couldn't even, unless we were Metallica, there's no way we would have been able to afford this space. So we just, we filmed the live parts of the band playing. We did rehearsals, in open spaces where everyone was 10 feet across with masks on. It was crazy. But we actually pulled it off. And then that's what amazing. That context was. And that particular song, Give Me Some Loving, is something that JG himself wanted to do because he used to be in a rock band when he was younger. And we're like, you need to play keys with us as a Klingon. And I decided that it would be a good idea to have a talent show section of the election. I thought it would be hilarious to have them do like the swimsuit part of it and come out in swimsuit. Yeah. But I was like, all right, maybe not that much. Like, it's COVID. Let's not go too far with these guys.
Oh my gosh.
But the talent show, I was like, JG, you're a rock star. Come on, you're like our Uncle rock star Klingon. So he wanted to do Give Me Some Lovin', and so I dressed as a Klingon and sang it. He played keys, and that was actually really him playing the keys, and we just kind of edited it all together. We also have a couple of really gifted video videographers in our crew as well. So
that
really
video
helps.
is amazing.
It is.
Well, and so if anyone wants to know what you guys are talking about, like, how do you find it, right? It's on YouTube. What's the title of the video?
It's the Klingon Showdown.
Okay.
And there are different videos, excerpts from it. Like Give Me Some Lovin' is probably a separate song from it above. But if you want to watch the 90-minute, it's like a full-fledged feature film almost. It's
worth watching.
And it's and
it's amazing.
It shows. It was so much work, and we, again, like Beth said, we couldn't believe that we pulled it off. But it was so much work. But it definitely showcases a lot of like our antics and what we like to do and what we do on stage. It really is a good visual and representation for what we do.
Yeah. And so for creative folks, a lot of times it's wonderful when you can multi-purpose a project. I mean, does this intro you as a band to get you more, gigs? Is this showcased on a huge screen before you guys come out, like with highlights and snippet? Because I can imagine like this really, when I saw it, I was like, this is so good. And I can see you in arenas and places and all kinds of, I can't wait to see you guys live someday. That's my wish. But until then, I was like, this is a whole production story that is blowing me away. And I'm just enjoying the song too. I'm like, but they are full costume, all in, parodying a song that I only knew in one way. Do you ever get the weirdest requests from, do you even play weddings? I can't imagine. Do they say
we have,
do they say, can you play Achy Breaky Heart in Star Trek style? Like, do you get the weirdest?
We've gotten requests for that kind of music. It wasn't necessarily a request to parody it, but the great thing about this wedding was this couple saw us at we were playing outside in a park in Philly for whatever, I don't know, whatever Star Trek day or something like that. And we were, and they came up and they loved us, and they were huge geeks, and they wanted us to play at their wedding. And we did. We signed a contract. We played, and they said, do your thing. And we played their wedding in costume. Like that's what they wanted. And, imagine, just for some context, the bridal party or the bride and groom coming after the wedding and walking into the reception. And we're playing the throne room march from Star Wars. Bum, ba, da, 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 da. it was,
I
it
believe
was
Xena was also performed the Xena
Xena
theme.
the
She was
Warrior Princess.
she was a huge Xena fan.
Oh my
You
gosh.
guys.
Yeah.
Chad,
Yeah.
I think we need to get remarried.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to schedule a new party.
You know,
And
something
fun.
really cool that happened at the wedding though. I mean, it happens, you know, at all weddings. You see like all generations, but I've also noticed that at our shows, you see younger people and older people dancing. Like the last show that we played, well, 2 shows ago that we played actually before we went back to Vegas was at the Landis Theater in South Jersey. First time we'd ever played South Jersey, and we had people show up, you know, friends of ours that showed up from Los Angeles, from the Midwest, from the North. Alex came up from Texas to help with the show. There was a woman that came up to me at the end of the show, and her son was dancing nonstop the entire time. And she said that was the very first live show that she's ever taken him to. And it was the first time she'd been out since COVID happened. And also another friend of ours brought her 90-year-old parents to the show, and they had a blast. Like one of the things that we really try and do is make it fun for everyone. We want kids to have fun. It's kid friendly. All kinds of generations and people from all over the place. Just, you know, even people who don't like Star Trek necessarily, we also want them to have a fun time, because we've had Trekkie friends that are like, hey, come see this band. It's the ride. They're like, oh, I don't know about Star Trek. And they're like, I mean, it's more than just that. Just come and you'll see. And they
Yeah.
come and they have a great time. We had one guy come and say, this was the first show that had 3 of my tattoos represented in one set list.
That's a
I
great
thought that was
review.
like one of the biggest compliments we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
well,
And
Chad
then I'm
and
like, well, I want to see your tattoos, man. 'cause-
You're like, well, what other tattoo do you have? We might add that in the
my
next
God.
time.
right, right.
Oh
I'm
my
thinking
gosh.
like, you know, a Klingon symbol, Godzilla, and like a Battlestar Galactica something. I don't know. Spider-Man, maybe.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love this. And so in a way, that's kind of to my earlier question, like what surprises you, but also what inspires you? Chad talked earlier about you have such a database to pull from. Do you get requests and you morph it in and you try to work it in, or the band constantly coming up with new ideas and you have to like shelf them until you can get them put in, or
That's true.
how do these things come?
You know what? It happens in a lot of different ways. I think there are we have people that send us ideas, of course, or they're like, hey, here's a song that I wrote, and you know, that kind of stuff happens too. And one of them we actually used. A friend of ours wrote lyrics to a song, and we used that to a Grateful Dead song. Truckin' became Trekkin'.
Perfect.
Because we have so many Grateful Dead fans that come to see the show, and it's like, when are you going to do a Dead song? When are you going to do it? No, all right, we're doing
Yeah.
a Dead song now. But you know, for example, when we're coming up with a song, I think the very first parody that we did was Saltsucker, and that was to Hall & Oates' Maneater. But it's basically about, you know, the very first aired episode of Star Trek ever, the Man Trap. That's like our homage to that. You know, they're on an away team to planet M113, only ruins found. No sign of the professor for his checkup and supplies. Then that they see her, she looks just like McCoy's ex, but she's a monster in disguise. It goes through the whole song. That was like the first one. I particularly get inspired with, you know, we might just be hanging out drinking and thinking of songs, and then it'll be like, wait, Tanagra. No, I think Billy came up with that one.
Yeah,
Instead of
they come up in various ways, and
they
the
do.
band, a lot of the band members that, and that's the one thing too, we encourage ideas like from the band. It's not just that Beth or I come up with the ideas. There's Scott and Jay Warp and Captain Dick. So they're all coming up. As a matter of fact, one of our first original music lyrics songs was not too was it last year or so, but it's
The Landis was the first time we played it. No, I'm sorry. Fan Expo was the first time we played it.
yeah, it's this hip hop version of and our own take on The Mandalorian, which was really cool. And it's a really cool thing. But everybody contributes. I mean, Beth does does do the lion's share of creative lyrics and like just amazing lyrics. But yeah, it's just all different ways and all different inspirations.
And sometimes it's what's happening in the news. You did a beautiful, fun tribute to Nichelle Nichols, the OG Cosmic Girl. I love that song.
Mhm.
Did you also see when William Shatner flew and actually flew? Like, these
Blue
are,
Origin.
can you
Yeah.
believe that happened? And when you heard that announcement that he was going to fly, were you guys like, this is
Yeah.
happening? It's kind of
And
surreal, right?
it's so surreal to be on stage with him, thinking
Yeah.
that this just happened. We were on stage with him this year and last year, and we were debating like, what are we going to play? What are we going to do? Like, what song should we? It's the cliche Rocket Man. No, don't do that. He hates that song. He did that. Don't do that. What are we going to intro and outro him to? And we, I think we're good with our decisions. We decided T.J. Hooker because we just we it's just a great song, and he was
Oh, it's such a hot song.
yeah.
Yeah. I think also though, sometimes the music comes up because we get inspired if we're hired to do certain kinds of gigs or festivals. Like if we're playing something that's more like a Star Wars theme show, like May the 4th be with you kind of thing. Like we'll come up with a Star Wars heavy show. If we're playing a Comic-Con or something like that that's got multiple fandoms, we'll really spread it out and we'll throw everything in there. Superhero fiction, Doctor Who, Battlestar, sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, gaming, like all kinds of stuff, and just put it together. We really try and think about what the audience is going to be for the show, and we try and put out things that we feel are going to be the most entertaining for the audience. So that's another big one. And also Billy is
the audience can inspire a lot of the performance right there, and the just inspiring the creativity, just knowing, because the Star Trek and Star Wars and all of the sci-fi genre fans, if you haven't noticed, they're pretty creative, interesting people too. So there's a good flow of creativity happening between stage and audience, I can imagine.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We don't ever want to insult the intelligence of our audience, because forget about it. They'll destroy you if you come up with a missing fact or like something that's incorrect.
You got a lot of pressure writing some of these lyrics.
No pressure at all. No pressure.
Well, that brings up a good question.
I do my homework when I write these.
I bet.
Particularly, I'm not the only one that does lyrics for the band, but I definitely do my homework, and I feel like everybody puts thought into it. And
well, the beautiful thing is with the fans that you have, you can put them out to field test any lyrics you got, and they'll find if there's an issue, because they'll find it before anyone else would.
Yes, they will.
It's true.
Speaking of getting the facts right, you guys, like in that video that you created for that program you mentioned earlier, it was like, I don't know if it was during COVID on
Showdown
that stage.
2020?
I think so, but you guys were on the bridge, like recreated, and you had amazing costumes, but it really looked like the bridge. Where did you get those? Did you build those from scratch?
Are you talking about the picture that we sent to you?
No, I'm talking about one of the songs. You guys were like, he starts out and he's like, we're going to assassinate, start with the guitarist. And then everyone's kind of on the bridge and everyone leans this way and then leans that way.
Oh, right.
And it looks like you're on the bridge, like the whole, and there's smoke and there's lights. And I'm like, this is amazing.
There was like 5 cameras, all kinds of LED, different lighting. I mean, it was, this is a professional video studio that big companies rent out for commercials. Like so we had all of the things there. And again, like we're blessed because we are, the inside of the Roddenberries is extremely professional filmmakers, professional lighting people, professional writers, as Beth is a writer, musician. So we have like just this amazing arsenal of pretty much everything available to us, just because of our relationships and our work, like what we do. And so we've been able to benefit from that.
So did the Smithsonian call you when they unveiled was it the show we watched where they unveiled the
Yeah, they had the whole Star
Star
Trek,
Trek.
all the movie props that they put on display
Oh.
at the Smithsonian, and they were like literally going and knocking on fans' doors. They were like, "Hey, we heard you have, one of the original phasers from the original series. May we borrow it for this museum?" Like, they were out there hunting for all this stuff, the real props from the original series.
Yeah,
Well,
what's the name of that documentary?
let me share, like, if they're looking for props and things, I'm gonna just change my background to our rehearsal space.
I knew the track lounge was coming.
So this is our rehearsal space, and there is no shortage of amazing props and original series stuff.
There it is.
Yeah, and this is where it's my basement, and it's a pretty awesome place. It's called the Trek Lounge, and we have so many artifacts and props
Look
and
at
things like that.
that.
Yeah.
Bill, oh my gosh. And this was just acquired? Like, do people give and you purchase and you obtain, like, how?
All.
All of the above. All of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This is
Yeah.
amazing. Oh my gosh.
You can
Okay.
see it.
It's better than the bridge of the Enterprise.
It's a magical place. That's where the magic happens, baby.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about your wish list. Number one, the one place you wish you could play. Number two, the audience you would wish, like, in the most amazing, wish list possibility audience you could play for.
I've already played for Shatner.
I know, it's pretty amazing. And
Wow.
then number three, what is the wish that if you could accomplish every single time you're setting out to do this? Is it making people laugh? Is it everyone leaves feeling great? Is it people to, get connected to space? So let's start with the wish list, the three. Let's do audience, location, and then what you're looking to, like, check that box every single time if you could do it. And I think you guys do. That's my opinion because I'm a big fan. But has there been a place that you've wanted to play, you haven't yet, or something that would be perfect?
Wow. I mean,
How about Artemis launch November 14th? What do you guys
yeah,
So-
that's one.
think?
I mean,
There's one.
one of my absolute it was definitely on the top, one of the top things on my wish list in terms of playing somewhere is definitely one of the science-based types of events. NASA, Smithsonian, those types of things. Like, it's kind of like I'm in a Star Trek band, and if I'm playing at a NASA party, I feel like I kind of made it. Like,
We're legitimized.
Yeah.
and everybody said, like, hey, if we could only play in Vegas, and then a miracle happened, and that happened, and I love playing in Vegas and playing at conventions and having people dancing and going crazy at shows, but just being able to say that, hey, we're playing, this is legit, this is science, this is space, and we're a space band. I mean, come on.
Can you imagine if you were able to shoot something like at a launch where a launch is going off behind you? That'd be so
Oh
cool.
man.
Because you guys are into the real props, no CGI, no virtual backgrounds, the real stuff. That would be something.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh
we gotta
my
make
God,
that happen.
I would
Amazing.
love that. I mean, I feel like absolutely what Billy just said, but I also feel like
Okay, wait,
You know,
wait,
the
Beth,
fact
wait
that
a minute. Wait, Beth. All we have to do is get you to Boca Chica. There's like nothing there right now. They're just building all the SpaceX starships, and it's not like regulated. So you could just literally set up right in front of the fence, and people will just hear you playing. And pretty soon you've made your music video with the launch in the background. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
I like the way you
must
think.
pilgrimage to Boca Chica, Texas.
This is the SpaceX, one of their facilities where they're building, but do they have launches?
They do test
Yeah,
launches.
they do launches and they do all kinds of stuff. And it is so Wild West down there right now because, Chad and I worked at NASA. Chad went to Russia and he helped carry some cargo over for one of the launches. And it's like NASA has fences and security and regulations, and it's like you can only look from here and watch and then go home. And then in Russia, it got a little
Yeah.
less restrictive.
How close do you want to get?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Go ahead.
For
Well, you
please,
know-
you stand next to fire when
Yeah.
Take your chances.
Well, what would be cool at Boca Chica is, you know, Elon is not afraid to blow up a rocket in the name of engineering and science. So what if you had that in the
Fair enough.
background?
I
Like,
am
how
all
rock and
for
roll
it.
is that?
That's
Yeah,
you know
well,
what? That's like the pinnacle of our career right there.
Seriously,
We need to have JG Hertzler dressed as Martok though playing keys while that's happening.
just show
And maybe
up.
Tim Russ on bass. Like we gotta get more people involved. We gotta make it as big as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do the whole like, just the underground notes going out on social media and people start meeting up and then more people and now everyone's expecting the band to play and the launch countdown and go.
It'd be like a impromptu Woodstock, but for space geeks.
Oh,
Space
Stock.
Duck. Maybe we'll just start hyping it.
Yeah.
The space
You know,
dock,
like sell the
which
sizzle
is
like really hard.
Well, I mean,
and
if
eventually get us there because people will get so behind it.
well, that's how the whole let's take
That'd be-
over Area 51 started,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like, if they could do it for that, could do it for this.
oh my gosh. Okay, so we've got the wearer. Our
You
audience.
guys are like our new life coaches.
I think Area 51 needs to be, if they have any kind of parties at Area 51, I'm sure there's some kind of party. You
Oh,
got to get
man.
in there. Got to
We're
get into
ready.
that
No,
Area
no,
That would be
51.
amazing.
I know. Next summer, is it next summer? Is the next total American total solar eclipse?
Yeah,
And-
that's an event.
And it goes throughout the country. It literally starts in Texas and it goes up.
It probably
through,
goes up through Jersey.
I think through Jersey and Philadelphia.
upstate New
And
York.
it kind of does that pathway. You guys could pick a place on the pathway and just be like,
Wow.
at the solar eclipse, we're gonna drop the mic,
Well,
start the show.
There will be
Yeah.
parties all throughout that shadow zone. There will be parties at a lot of different places. Universities, are going to host people. Like, there's going to be someone looking for a band.
Look at Beth. Look
For-
at her. She's like,
for
Yeah.
the solar eclipse.
Beth is like, oh yes.
I can't. I wear my everything on my sleeve. I'm
Okay.
so bad at hiding stuff.
And we have a song. We even have a song, Blinded by the Light. Wrapped up
Yeah.
like a in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Can we do that one? We're
We
there.
could,
We're there.
we'll have to rework those lyrics, but absolutely.
Oh yes, we will. Oh yes, we will.
Okay, we've got places, we've got audiences. Let's talk about the things that you guys do. You connect, like you said, the young and the folks that never have maybe been introduced to Star Trek before, to the fun of it. You invite people in, you're surprising people with your costumes. What else comes organically from your shows that you're seeing on stage that maybe the rest of us, we don't recognize? We're enjoying you and your song, and you guys are seeing something happening.
I would think, like, for example, are there any Star Trek writers in the audience that are watching you guys and taking notes to go put into
Oh, wow.
scripts? I bet you there
That would
are.
be
Well,
really humbling. I don't know about that, but
let me just say one interesting thing about, because you're talking about Star Trek writers and our we before we were just this band, we're on the outside, but then we got a call in to 2016. We got this weird message. Hey, this is Claire from Roddenberry Entertainment or something. Would you be interested in playing in Las Vegas for the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, right? And I'm like, oh, who's this? Yeah, right. It's not happening, right? And then we back and forth, and we find out that this Claire is Claire, who was one of the characters on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Claire Kramer, and Claire works for Rod Roddenberry and Trevor Roth at Roddenberry Entertainment. And after I'll spare you the details of the whole journey, but we end up being hired by Roddenberry Entertainment. We're playing the 50th anniversary, and we're hanging with Rod Roddenberry, the son of the creator of Star Trek, who has since become a very close friend of ours. Like,
Oh, wow.
he's amazing.
He's so amazing, and him and Trevor Roth, they're the co-producers of all the latest Star Trek series, co-executive producers. You'll see their names at the beginning of every new Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, all of it. And Rod has just become a great friend and advocate for us. He said so many awesome things. And, because of that connection and, we definitely got attention from, real like Star Trek, the actual machine of Star Trek, which has been a really interesting thing for us.
The
And
real
I can't
minds
say
behind
writers.
it right now.
Yeah, I can't say writers are in the audience. They may have, but I know we've been performing with actors from Star
Yeah.
Trek, which is crazy.
That's cool.
And Rod
Yeah,
comes to our show.
some of the musicians that are actors have expressed interest and actually have come and played with us on stage during our gigs in Vegas, which is just the coolest thing ever.
That is
The
super
coolest
That is
thing
cool.
so
ever.
amazing.
So speaking of the band members, like how many, it's a big band, right? I mean, how many people are there typically at a show on stage, and how many different people, do you have that join in on a regular basis?
Mm.
If our total production, our full production, if we're going to bring out a full, like do the full cabaret and everything, is 20 people.
Ooh.
Wow.
And it's not all 20 people on stage, but we have to have somebody that's dealing with lighting and sound and then we have our dancers and who are doing choreography and working on choreography for the different things, and the choreography might change depending on what type of stage we're playing on. Then there's the singers, and there's Beth and Scott and the Wid, and different members of the band will be lead singers for certain songs.
Yeah.
So depending on what the type of show. Now in Vegas, we did a small, like this year we did a dance party. It was only 7 of us on stage for that, 8 of us on stage for that, and the house band was 7 of us just doing music and singing, but we weren't doing our full cabaret. But if we're doing our full cabaret, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
We have a horn section, so it's like it's a lot of musicians, like 13 musicians, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I would think that like keys would be a very popular instrument in a sci-fi based band, but you guys cover like every instrument is present, it seems like.
Billy has a button for all of them.
Yeah, I have like I do like the Rick Wakeman type of keyboard stacks. Like, so I have multiple keyboards. I have a computer. I got all the sound effects. But what's cool is you're right. I mean, Paul in one time had pulled out a banjo if he needed it, and Beth plays flute and penny whistle, and Joe, our percussionist, my brother actually, he's got congas and bongos, a drum pad. He plays doumbek, a Middle Eastern instrument. So like Andrew Geller, our Commandrew is his stage name. Commandrew, he amazing guitar player and percussionist, and has a arsenal of different types of instruments that he pulls out, percussion instruments. So yeah, we don't want to go too digital, right? We want to keep it a little bit more, band.
Yeah, that's cool. It shows.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Now with Rod being part of your journey, does he ever give you ideas and say, you know what you should try? And like, does he ever weigh in and say, this one is my favorite song? Does he share with you like the feedback?
He did let us know that he loves the Cantina Band song from Star Wars. So we actually played that. We played some of that for him at one of the times that we were there.
We did an homage. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
To his mom. Yeah, we did an homage to his mom, Majel Barrett Roddenberry. She's that lady. And it's like the Tom Jones, she's a lady, but it's just all about Majel Barrett. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's on our second album, and I actually sent him that song and said we really just wanted to share this because your mom has touched our hearts. Like she's the first lady of Star Trek. I grew up with her, and she pulls it all together. Her and Nimoy just basically pulled it all together for decades there. And he actually expressed back that he loved the song and thanked us for doing it and for putting it out there and stuff. And that he's really awesome. He's a great guy. He's super grounded. He's super easy to talk to. He's one of us. He's here for it. And you know, he's great for talking to people. You should actually think about having him on your
Yeah,
podcast if you can. Like Rod and Trevor would be awesome for
amazing
his
guests.
podcast.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has a foundation as well.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And he said that he wasn't going to sue us for using his last name as our band name. So we have that.
Great.
That's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'd love to have Rod, but only if you guys do the intro music to properly bring him in.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
We'll do whatever it makes it for him and for you, whatever you need. But that would be our honor to do something.
How many albums do you guys have?
2 currently.
And enough songs for about 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And
Yeah.
where all do you play? I mean, you're right. You mentioned Vegas, you know, you've mentioned a few things, but if someone wants to find you, is there like a regular kind of area you're at, or is it just, does it happen anywhere that it happens?
We're in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area proper. So anywhere, you know, within distance of driving, we can get to, and we've gone, as you know, we've played festivals in upstate New York. We've played New York Comic Con, Keystone Comic Con, New Jersey, like Wizard World, a bunch of Comic Cons. We've played out in Vegas. I mean, we're pretty much here for it. The only problem for us is that the budget requirements for us to travel far become higher and higher, you know, the more miles that we have to go. Like to get us to Vegas, it's literally just for the house band. 8 of us proper, you know, us with our tech engineer, which is Kevin. And we always bring others of us and we front that. But last time we went, how many pieces of luggage were they, Billy, just for the house band? Like 24 pieces of luggage. People
Yes.
bring, you know, instruments. We got to bring costumes. We got to
Yeah.
bring all kinds of
Our
stuff. So
merch, you know,
Yeah,
sell
our
t-shirts,
merch.
you know, that's another
Yeah.
part of it.
yeah, that's a lot.
And does everyone do other things and everyone has to carve out their schedules and
Yes.
travel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend all day as I'm a data architect for a software company, so I'm like work. That's what I'm doing, and then a couple of the guys on are school teachers or music teachers
Yeah.
or the filmmakers, and you know, so it's people have their own, you know, very busy schedule. On top of that, the Roddenberries can be extremely busy, but we have like we've forced ourselves to be disciplined enough to at least meet weekly, at least a group of us, a core group of us, just to start talking about administrative and did you get back to this person and that person,
Yeah.
and you know, it's those kind of things that. But right now we're in our kind of like lull period, probably for next month, couple of months before we start getting back into you know, rehearsing and starting to plan for some upcoming shows.
Sure. After the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do a holiday show, and that's fun. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of videos of us doing a holiday show where, you know, instead of the "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch," it's "You're a mean one, evil Sith," and so we're doing, like, you know, so we're doing fun things like that, and I love to do those holiday shows, but it's probably a little too much this
But
year.
you got to inspire the Star Trek world to do their own holiday special. I mean, if Star Wars did it back in the like, you know, back in the day,
Right?
no one
You
can
remember
top
that?
that.
Carefully do a
Do you
special.
remember that
Yes.
though? Oh, wow. The camp was just unbridled.
Yeah.
Chad showed that to me and I about fell off the
I-
sofa. I'm
I-
like, this is
Listen, I'm
cool.
absolutely here for it. We were basically put on this planet to do stuff like that. So I'm ready.
Yes.
Like I'm ready.
Yeah, I forced the family to sit down and watch at least a few minutes of the Star Wars Christmas special, and
Oh.
everyone just like was just
Confused.
dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Like it took a day
Yeah.
for everyone to
Yeah.
recover from that.
Yeah.
So-
Was there alcohol involved?
No, that's the problem.
Bam.
Would
That's
have,
right.
yeah.
That was the problem.
So Star
Yeah.
Trek, you know, there's got to be a holiday special on someone's drawing board somewhere, and
Let's
if
ask
nothing
Will
else,
Shatner. You guys have all met him. Let's ask him. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know what though? The thing about Star Trek is it's so inclusive. There's so many holidays to celebrate or not celebrate around.
yeah, It'd
the
have to be like
holiday time.
a
So
Festivus,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
on the Seinfeld
it would have to be
episodes.
all inclusive holidays.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a perfect segue to wrap this all up with a perfect bow. You guys have done so incredible. Just, I'm so excited that you came on the show, and I can't thank you enough. I want to get your impression how Star Trek started, you know, back in the day, and people were introduced to concepts and technologies and ideas of unity and diversity, right? And inclusion and all these things. Now that we're 20, 30 years later plus, do you feel like through your music and through what you've seen on the television shows and everything that more of us have embraced and encapsulated and lived the Star Trek vision now, all these years later? Can we all look back and be like, yeah, here we are. We've arrived to the vision and the mission of what the show set out to accomplish?
I think so. I mean, I just from, people that I know and a lot of friends of mine, a lot of us were touched by that. And that's one of the things that we really grabbed onto from early on. And that's something that kind of taught us at a young age that, hey, this is possible. This is how you treat people. This, we're all equals, and everybody can get along. IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. It's beautiful. It's like just embracing the differences that we all have, because there's just so much from which we can learn, so much to learn. So I feel like, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that aren't there, but I know that something that, and we've had this conversation with Rod and Trevor actually, about the newer shows and what they're trying to accomplish and achieve with the newer audiences and stuff. It's like, Gene's vision is always there. It's the bottom of the pyramid, the base that it was formed on, all of it. And if you look like, I'm sorry, if you look at shows like Discovery, the stuff that they're doing with Discovery, with non-binary characters and, gay couples, and there's just so much unity and inclusion, and everyone can see themselves on screen. And that's really all people want. They want to be able to see themselves. I can go to space. I can, be on the bridge of the ship and go explore and, save entire species and entire universes. And it's just, it's something really hopeful, and it's something really positive to hold on to. For me, that's one of the things that I love so much about Star Trek, and have always and will continue to love, is just the positivity and the inclusiveness. And that's something that we try and do with our friends, our fans, what we do in the shows and stuff. And we really try and put our best foot forward, and, think about what Gene taught us when we were all little kids, watching it with our dads.
And the question of like, are we there? We're furthering the journey of getting to that ideal place. And the thing about the Roddenberries is even our makeup is a very diverse makeup of, if you just look at the group of characters on the stage at any one time. We're very proud of that, and that we're happy that we can be representing that kind of diversity on stage, because that's what, if you look at Star Trek, that's what that is. That's what their ideal is. But yeah, that we're just another piece to help, I think, further that journey towards that ideal, that Roddenberry vision, as Beth said.
Amazing. Well, thank you for your time here today. We really appreciate it. I can't wait to share all the links and all the places where people are going to be able to find you and find your music and enjoy everything that you guys do. I can't wait to come to the Midwest. So we're going to make this happen somehow, or we're going to meet you in Boca Chica.
Yes.
Oh,
That would be amazing.
and also to consider meeting us out in Vegas in the first week of August. We'll be at hopefully at the Rio for the 57th year mission.
Wow.
so great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank
and
you.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
so
us.
much. It's great.